always from the heart of the city, and now on demand 24/7 on the CHFI website. This is the soundtrack to accompany The Gift of Life. And I'm Don Jackson, around the world on the internet. Paul G. Hewitt from Conceptual Physics, published by HarperCollins, wrote, "For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. If you push hard on the world pushes back. If you touch the world gently, the world will touch you gently in return." This hour, The Gift of Life, with Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Roberta Flack, Feel Like Making Love, and the Bee Gees, and How Deep Is Your Love. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Some years back, my children and I were out by the pond when a very beautiful monarch butterfly landed on one of our coneflowers. Before I could stop him, my son walked up to the creature as it fed, reached out, and very, very gently touched the insect's wings. A moment later, my daughter crept up to do the same. I was about to warn them off, reminding them that if too many of the scales are rubbed off, they cannot fly. But their touch was so delicate, so pure, that the creature didn't seem to mind, and eventually continued on its lazy way. The fish in my pond can also be touched when they come to feed out of your hand. My daughter taught them that trick. I've since realized that touch is central to all God's creatures. George Howe Colt, in Life magazine, wrote, "Touch is a primal need, as necessary for growth as food, clothing, or shelter. From the nuzzles and caresses between mother and child that form the foundation of the self, to the holding of hands between a son and his dying father that allows a final letting go. Touch is our most intimate and powerful form of communication." Michelangelo knew this. When he painted God extending his hand towards Adam on the Sistine Chapel's ceiling, he chose touch to depict the gift of life. George Howe Colt, in Life magazine. This hour, The Gift of Life, with Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Kelly Clarkson and Breakaway, Faith Hill with Breathe, and Enrique Iglesias and Hero, and he spoke of a dance in that song. Lovers and Other Strangers, from iTunes and CHFI.com. Anne Morrow Lindbergh from Gift from the Sea, published by Pantheon, wrote, "A good relationship has a pattern like a dance and is built on some of the same rules. The partners do not need to hold on tightly because they move confidently in the same pattern, intricate but swift and free, like a country dance of Mozart's. To touch heavily would arrest the pattern and freeze the movement, to check the endlessly changing beauty of its unfolding. There is no place here for the possessive clutch, the clinging arm, the heavy hand. Now, arm in arm, face to face, back to back, it does not matter which, because they know they are partners moving to the same rhythm, creating a pattern together, and being invisibly nourished by it. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Colbie, Caillat, Fallin for you. Jason Mraz, I'm yours, and Ambrosia with How Much I Feel. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Leo Biscaglia, in his book Born for Love, published by Flack, wrote, "The majority of us lead quiet, unheralded lives as we pass through this world. There will most likely be no ticker-tape parades for us, no monuments created in our honor. But that does not lessen our possible impact, for there are scores of people who will appreciate our compassion, our encouragement, who will need our unique talents, someone who will live a happier life merely because we took the time to share what we had to give." Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. It's overwhelming to consider the continuous opportunities there are to make our love felt. Leo Biscaglia from Born for Love, published by Flack. Don't forget to hold the hands of the ones you love. You'd be surprised at the story one can learn from the feel of their touch. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Selena and I Could Fall in Love and Blue Rodeo with 5 Days in May. I'm Don Jackson with Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I want you to remember the film City of Angels that starred Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan. The most powerful line in the entire film features Seth's reasons for wanting to be more than just an angel. He said, "I would rather have had one breath of her hair, one kiss of her mouth, one touch of her hand, than an eternity without it." This hour, the gift of life for Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. I'm Don Jackson. Dryden had a sense of a marriage of two souls when he wrote, "Our souls sit close and silently within, and their own webs from their own entrails spin. And when eyes meet far off, our sense is such that spider-like we feel the tenderest touch." Lovers and Other Strangers from iTunes and CHFI.com. Good night, sweet dreams. I'm Don Jackson.